morning. Hola a todos, muy buenos días. Welcome to the 31st teleconference of the WMO Coordination Group on Satellite Data Requirements for Regional Associations 3 and 4. I'm Diego Souza from MPE. Thank you very much for joining us today, and we hope all is well. We also have with us our colleague Marcial Garbanzo from the University of Costa Rica and co-chair of the group. Welcome, Marcial.
Hola, thank you, Diego. Gracias a todos. Thank you, everybody, for being here. And I hope we're going to have a very productive meeting. So I'm going to keep it short and just dig into the conference. So thank you.
Thanks, Marcial. So if you missed the previous teleconferences, you may find all the content from all the 30 teleconferences in the SDR Group's webpage, the recordings, minutes of meetings, and all the presentations. This is our first teleconference since the 5th face-to-face meeting of the SDR Group in Madison last month. We had a great meeting. We had a good participation from the community, 31 participants from 19 countries, and all the presentations and the recording are also available in the group's webpage. Also, the draft meeting report is available for your review. And here we would like to thank Zoya and Driva from WMO who did a great job creating this report. And we kindly ask you to send your comments and suggestions until September 27th, so you may distribute the final version of the meeting report. And as the highlights and the outcomes for the 5th meeting, we have basically 3 major aspects, right? First, the GeoXO communication service plans, the updates presented by the member countries, and the proposal of new actions and recommendation. So that's what we are going to discuss today. So before going to our first presentation, let's quickly introduce the participants of this meeting. So I'm seeing Carol. Hi, Carol. Welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, just a point to note, I think someone is asking for translation into Spanish.
Unfortunately, this is not available for now, but we are doing the possible, right, Marcel, to have it in future teleconferences. I'm also seeing Casey from Canada. Hello, Alec. Are you there? Can you hear us?
Hi, good morning, everyone. Yes, I'm here, and Matt Arquette should be joining soon.
Okay, thank you. Hi, Bernie. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear. Thanks.
Great. Thanks, Bernie. Hola, Daniel. We also have Daniel Villa.
Hi, good morning, everybody. Nice to see you again.
Thanks, Daniel. Diana Rodriguez from the Argentinian Meteorological Service. Hi, Diana.
Hi, everyone. Hello a todos. Hola a todos. I am happy to stay with us.
Thanks, Diana. We also have Edison Cruz from Ecuador. Hi, Edison.
Creo que dijo que no tiene micrófono.
Oh, no problems. We also have Eric Madsen from NOAA. Hi, Eric.
Buenos días a todos.
Thanks for joining. We have Gabriela Gomez from La Note, Mexico. Hola, Gabi. Hi, Gabi.
Hi. Buenos días.
We have Hugo Saavedra from Colombia. Hola, Hugo.
Muy buenos días para todos. Hugo Saavedra acá desde Colombia. Muy atentos a esta reunión. No sé si podría haber traducción al español. Gracias.
Gracias, Hugo. Desafortunadamente hoy no vamos a tener esta traducción, pero en la sesión después de la presentación de NOAA vamos a traducir vuestras cuestiones y posibles comentarios, ¿ok?
Diego,
gracias.
Me gustaría aclararle, la reunión de hoy tiene como principal meta, ¿verdad? Ahorita vamos a hablar acerca del nuevo satélite, Y yo estaré haciendo las traducciones en cuanto a esa parte para las preguntas, que es tal vez lo más importante para nosotros.
Excellent. Gracias, Marcial. We also have João Huaman from Peru. Hola, João. Hello.
Hello, Diego. Hello, everyone. Hi.
We have Joel from Guatemala. Hello, Joel.
Good morning, all. Greetings here from Guatemala.
Jordan Gerst from NOAA. Hi, Jordan.
Hola, and good morning.
Jorge Chira from Peru. Hola, Jorge, ¿nos escucha? Can you hear us? We can't hear you. Maybe he has some problems with his microphone. We also have Kenneth Kerr from the Caribbean Meteorological Organization. Hello, Kenneth. Can you hear us?
Yes, good day, good morning, everyone. I can hear you loud and clear.
Thank you. We have Laura Sofia Heredia. Can you hear us, Laura?
Hello, everyone. Yes, I'm here representing the Institute of IDEAM, Colombia. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. We have Mark Turner. Can you hear us, Mark?
I can, and good morning to everybody.
Morning. Michael Hottenberg. Can you hear us, Mike?
I can hear very well. Good morning, everybody. This is Michael Rattenberg from the space program of WMO.
Nat Donahoe from NOAA. Hi, Nat.
Hola, bon dia. Hello, everybody. This meeting will be a little bit different because we have several NOAA colleagues joining, so looking forward to a really good discussion. Hello.
Thank you. We also have Sandra. Sandra from Ecuador. Hi, Sandra. Hola, Sandra.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for the invitation.
Sherry Morris from NOAA. Hi, Sherry. Can you hear us?
Sherry can hear you. She's in a meeting, so she's just listening. Okay? Can't respond.
Thanks for joining, Sherry. Sofia Heredia from IDEAM, Colombia. Hola, Sofia. Hi, Sofia. Can you hear us?
Yes, excuse me. It's me again, but I have to connect into device because my computer doesn't. Yes, excuse me.
No problem. Pam Sullivan from NOAA. Hi, Pam. Thanks for joining us today.
Hi, good morning. Buenos dias.
Tom. Hi, Tom. Can you hear us?
So Ken, good morning. And I'm in Mark Turner's office, so hopefully you won't have too much feedback. But yeah, there's Mark as well.
Hi, Mark. Hi, Tom. Thanks for joining us. And William Abarca from El Salvador. Hi, William. Hola, William. Can you hear us? I think William is having some
Creo
problems.
que se pegó.
Okay. And Zoya Andriva from WMO. Hi, Zoya.
Hello, everyone. Nice to see everyone again.
Thank you. So thank you, everyone. We really appreciate your participation on our teleconferences. Our first presentation will be regarding the GeoXO RF communication service plans and impact. Is really the most important presentation for today. And before that, I just would like to comment that your feedback today is very, very, very important. Vuestros comentarios hoy son muy, muy importantes. Please, if you have any questions or do not understand any of the aspects that are going to be presented, please feel free to ask. If you are not comfortable in asking it in English, you may ask it in Spanish, and we will do the possible to translate your questions. And here are the main questions that we are expecting to be answered today. Hola, Marcial, go ahead.
No, es que para decir lo mismo que dijiste, pero en español, que creo que nada más para que tenga muy claro, este primer punto de hoy, lo del GeoXO, es la parte más importante de nuestra reunión de hoy. Es muy importante que si tienen preguntas o dudas, por favor no se queden con ellas abiertamente, nos pueden preguntar, ya sea abriendo su micrófono o en el chat, y nosotros con todo gusto lo haremos. Es muy importante que las preguntas y los comentarios se aclaren hoy. Gracias.
A little bit of background. The presentation of the survey results in medicine led to a series of discussions with NOAA regarding the GeoXO communication service plans. And 3 weeks ago, Marcel and I had a meeting with NOAA to discuss these plans. We formulated some preliminary questions and clarified some of these questions. And after that, we sent this information to the SDR mailing list. So NOAA is planning to finish these, the GeoXO communication service plans baseline in October. And that is why we needed to schedule this teleconference in September. So your feedback today is very important. And during the presentation, you may send your questions through the chat, and we'll try to answer all your questions. So Pam, please go ahead. You may share your screen and your slides.
Okay, let me bring them up. All right. Is that visible? No?
We are not seeing it yet.
Not yet. No. Not yet.
Try again. How's that?
I think it's coming up. Yep, go ahead. Not full screen though.
Check.
Yep, got it.
All right.
Excellent. Go ahead.
Okay. Good morning. Thanks to everyone for joining us. GeoXO is the NOAA geostationary satellite program that will follow GOES-R. We're currently in the early stages planning the program, and so this is exactly the right time for us to be hearing from our community of users about what they want to see in the next generation. Maybe I should have shared, but we are for GeoXO, we are planning to have the instruments that we plan to carry are the imager, like GOES-R, a lightning mapper, like GOES-R. We're also going to be adding 3 new instruments to GeoXO. An ocean color instrument will fly on east and west satellites. And then we're also going to have a 3rd satellite in the GeoXO constellation that will have a hyperspectral sounder and an atmospheric composition instrument. So we're very excited about these new capabilities that we're planning with GeoXO. In terms of the RF services, we are in general trying to move away from having the RF broadcast on the GeoXO satellites, moving that to more of cloud and commercial RF distribution. And we think that's because many, in fact, most of the future users will be using cloud or internet delivery for data. We also think with the new instruments and also the higher data rates, we think it's going to be much harder actually to do an RF broadcast. It would make it both expensive for the satellite and expensive for ground systems. We also are asked, in general, our Congress would like us to use commercial services where we can. And another factor that I didn't list here is just that the spectrum, the sale of the L-band frequency, to make way for cell phone services is making us think we should move out of using the L-band services. So in general, moving away from RF broadcast. We do plan to keep one RF service, that is the DCS platform signal receipt and relay, because we don't think a commercial service is likely to provide that service. Let's see, and so our plans for commercial RF broadcast are an approximately 60 megabit, what we're calling high data rate. That's the GRB equivalent. And then we're also planning a 1 megabit, what we're calling medium low data rate, which would be a replacement for the HRIT MWIN service. And if the current internet services we're currently providing, the ones that STAR or CIRA or the big data project, those services will continue as well as evolve. Should I stop for questions, or would you prefer just to go through it?
You can go ahead, Pam, and then in the end we. Okay.
All right. Okay. All right. So this is graphically what I mentioned. The GeoXO satellite is shown in the top left there with the DCS platform data being received and transmitted down, as well as the raw data from the GeoXO instruments. That'll come down to our ground system. And then from our ground system, you can see the arrows going into the NCCF. That's the NESDIS Common Cloud Framework. And our distribution will really happen from there. Out of the cloud, we will have data that's sent on terrestrial internet to the users. We will have data that can be broadcast to commercial satellites, whether those are GEO or LEO. And then the commercial satellite kind of in the middle is showing the high rate service and then the medium rate service. So users will be able to get the data via internet, or if you prefer via a terminal for either the high rate or the medium low rate. So again, a summary of what we're planning. The GOES-R capability and the GeoXO capabilities are compared here. So we'll have the DCS platform signal receipt, still planning on that. The rebroadcast of the DCS signals will be done on the GeoXO spacecraft. To CONUS is what we're planning. The hemispheric broadcast of the DCS signals will not be on the GeoXO spacecraft. It will be in the COM satellite low rate broadcast. The commanding capability that is currently on the GOES-R satellite but is not currently used, we were not planning on continuing that for GeoXO. And then the bottom are the two commercial services. The MWIN HRIT will become the GeoXO low rate, and the GOES-R rebroadcast will become the GeoXO high rate commercial broadcast. So the commercial broadcasts, what we're expecting to provide, again, the GRB equivalent would be about 60 megabits, which is the equivalent content to what we're providing right now. Our current GRB is about 30 megabit, but it's from 2 satellites. So this would represent approximately the same data content. And then the HRIT MWIN, the 1 bit or the 1 megabit per second rate. We're expecting 24/7 3 nines availability, probably 2 to 3 seconds latency. And so this is, just representative. This is a commercial service, an example of what our service might be. Obviously, we won't be contracting for the service for quite some time. So this is not exactly what we're planning, but this is representative. And then the expected ground terminal costs are listed there. Expected about $20,000 for the high rate and $750 for the medium low rate. And again, this is just projecting 10 years into the future. And if I didn't say, the GeoXO launch is 2032, so 10 years from now. Right, and so we're very interested in hearing from all of our users about if our plans for GeoXO meet your needs. If they don't meet your needs, are they impacting you? And please help us understand what those impacts would be. And then one question that came up in our previous conversation with the WMO group was, does it make sense to try to combine the current GeoNetcast service and GRB services into a single broadcast service for the GeoXO timeframe? I'm happy to have and whatever feedback you'd like to provide now or answer any questions.
So thank you very much, Pam. We really appreciate that. Last week, Marcial and I attended the 5th meeting of the WMO expert team on space systems and utilization. And one of the topics was the best practices on achieving user readiness for new satellites. And this is a great example of early user engagement. We are discussing these plans with the community 10 years before launch, which is great. And we are sure the transition to GeoXO will be smooth and the community will be prepared before launch. So we really appreciate that these efforts from NOAA. And let me just share my screen again so we can move to the open discussion regarding the GeoXO. So to get things started, okay, in our discussions, we have created a little summary of what has been presented by NOAA. So basically, the DCS receipt and relay RF service will be kept, and users on Conos will be able to receive it directly from GeoXO, right? And users outside Conos will be able to receive it through the low rate service on the concept. As for the H-rate and WIN, a comparable version of the GOES-R service will be provided through the low rate service. And regarding the GOES rebroadcast, a comparable version of the GOES-R service will be provided through the high rate service on the future commercial satellite. And also to serve as a reference, in the same slide, we have some basic information from the current GRB and GeoNetcast America's receive station. And that is important because there are many GRBs and GeoNetcast stations in the community. And it is important to know the implication of these changes, right? So in our meeting with NOAA, Marcial and I had basically 2 questions, right? Regarding the information that the broadcast service of legacy GOES data and that the RF data, legacy RF data would be maintained. So one of our questions was, does this mean that the content of the commercial broadcast high-grade service would be an equivalent of what GRB is now in terms of bands, spatial and temporal resolutions? Because it would fit inside the 100 megabits available on Intelsat 30, for example. If a user would like to receive everything GeoXO has to offer, all the instruments, etc., cloud and internet would be an option. So this was one of the questions, and NOAA clarified that, yes, in the commercial satellite, we would have a subset of the GeoXO full data set, right? So that's one aspect. And the other question that we had is, GeoXO will provide a commercial satellite RF broadcast of comparable version of GOES-R services. Does this mean that the same antenna, receiver equipment, and hardware will work with the new broadcast? We do not have this information yet because we are in the early stages of planning, but we have some preliminary analysis based on the information provided by NOAA. So we imagine, right, that it is possible that GRB users would be able to use the same antennas, but would need to change their feeds and the modulators. And on the other hand, GeoNetcast users would be able to use the same feed and receiver, but would need to change their antennas. And regarding the cost, as Pam presented, it is already mentioned that it is estimated that a station would cost $20,000 for the high rate and $750 for the medium or low data rate. But these are estimates for non-turnkey solutions, right? And regarding the second question, the feasibility of combining GNC and GRB, here are some preliminary thoughts, right? GeoNetcast Americas currently works with a 20 megabits per second data rate using the Intelsat 21 commercial satellite located at 58 West as the rebroadcast satellite. NESDs and SIMs are already contributing with approximately 88% of the current GeoNetcast content. And according to the information provided, GeoXO would need 62 megabits per second for the high rate service and 1 megabits per second for the low rate service. And in the representative image, in this example, Intelsat 30 would provide a maximum data rate of 100 megabits per second. So an initial suggestion would be combining GeoNetcast and GRB, right? Because the current data sets that are available in the system, plus the future GeoXO data sets would fit inside the 100 megabits per second. And if that would be possible, this would greatly facilitate the transition and capacity building activities. So having a single RF system in the region would greatly facilitate things. So this is just preliminary information and analysis that we had. And here we will open the discussion for your questions, right? So I wonder if we already have any questions or...
Yes, we do have a question from Gabi, but before I hand it to Gabi, I would like to remark that these numbers that Diego just presented are, of course, approximations. This is 10 years in the future, and things could change, okay? Because, of course, new LEO satellites could provide more data that could take a big chunk of it. So it's just something to keep in mind. Gabi?
Yeah, thank you. Well, my concern here is that internet service is not as good as it should be in many places. So I understand the need of another system of distribution because the high rate of information that it's going to be viable. So I think it's really good. I think to have a way to split the way to receive information, because we can still have a GRB receiving station that it's a very good news. Even if you cannot download all the information, you can have some information from internet, as if I understood it, and some information from GRB, and some other could be from GeoNetcast. So it would be three ways to get information. Because what I think about GeoNetcast is that usually it's products, not level 1 information. So I don't think it's a good idea to mix. I think it should be split, because the idea of GeoNetcast is exactly that you can have information from places where internet it's not viable or it's not a good quality internet. So I think to have three different ways to receive information, it's a very good idea. So that's my comment right now.
Would you like to address that one directly, or you want me to?
Well, I'll just restate what I heard. I think Gabby understands there'll be internet delivery and is advocating that we keep GeoNetcast and a GRB equivalent. So she likes having those three options.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Next we have, thank you, Gabi. Next we have Joao.
Hi, everyone. My question is about the change in the framework of sending data. Is in the three satellites or only in the satellite with the sonder? Because I understand that the significantly difference in comparison with the currently satellite data is the include of the sonder, but that sonder is it will be in one satellite, not in the three. So the question is, this change is in the three next generation of the satellite, or just in one?
All three. We want the satellites to not have a GRB and HRIT capability on any of the three.
Okay.
Okay, now we have Hugo Saavedra. Hugo, adelante.
Una pregunta en español, pero la traduce aquí Laura, que está conmigo, es si podemos utilizar la misma antena de recepción que tenemos en Colombia para el nuevo satélite.
Well, Hugo Armando Saavedra is asking if it is possible to use the same, let me know.
Antenna.
Antenna, excuse me, the same antenna that works with GOES, the system GOES, with the new generation satellite. Yes, he wants to know if it is possible to work with the same antenna, or yes, if you can repeat that information for him. Thank you.
Okay, Pam, would you like to address that, or do you want us to present the slide that we just showed about the change of the?
Yeah, please do. I don't have more information than that right now.
¿Quieres decirlo, Diego?
Yes, perfectly. It all depends
En
on the
español.
Ok, perdón. Todo va a depender del satélite comercial que se va a utilizar con GeoXO. En el ejemplo que enseñó Pam, que es el Intelsat 30, ¿no? En este caso, que es solamente un ejemplo, ¿no? Serían necesarias antenas entre 2.4 metros y 4.8 metros para recibir estas informaciones, ¿no? La mayoría de las antenas GRB están entre 3.6 y 4 metros y medio. Entonces, bueno, en un resumen, va a depender del satélite comercial que se va a utilizar, ¿no? Con GeoXO, y todavía no tenemos esta información. Y depende del diámetro de vuestra antena. Entonces, más o menos es esto, ¿no?
Okay, next is Bernie.
Muchas gracias.
Okay. Good morning, all. My question follows on Gabriella's in the sense of the GRB versus GeoNetcast, you know, so essentially level 1 versus level 2 data. And how does, so I guess I also have a question, because the US also currently uses the SBN, the Satellite Broadcast Network. So is that will that stay the same? Or will that change, and will that be somehow put in the envelope of what the high resolution satellite broadcast will be? Or do you understand what I'm saying?
I understand there's a separate S-band delivery system. I'm not really involved in that. I don't know if there's anyone else from NOAA. I don't.
Yeah,
I don't know why GeoXO would change it. Go ahead, Jordan.
Yeah, thanks. This is Jordan. So just to clarify, the Satellite Broadcast Network is currently a C-band delivery mechanism designed for the U.S. National Weather Service. So access to the Satellite Broadcast Network may be a possibility for some countries that are geographically close to the contiguous United States, but probably not an option for all, particularly our colleagues in South America. As far as whether there might be a change to the SBN formulation based on these plans, we haven't had any discussions along those lines yet. I don't know if there will be a change, and we will continue to monitor the GeoXO plans and the costs to the National Weather Service, if it makes sense to use the C-band delivery or whatever downlink we have from the GeoXO satellite to deliver data to our field offices.
Okay, thanks. So what is GeoNetcast? What band is that? Is that C-band?
Yes, that is C-band, Bernie.
Yeah, okay. So, okay. Yeah, because I was thinking of, like, in Europe has EUMetcast, and they have, you know, a mix of the level 1 plus level 2 data. And then for Africa, they have the mostly level 2 data, EUMetcast Africa. So I was wondering how those are similar and a duplication of efforts. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and oh, sorry, that was me. Sorry, that was me because I'm sitting in Mark's office and we had two mics on. Yeah, GeoNetcast, Bernie, is I think just 20 megs per second, where EUMetcast is a whole lot more. Remember, EUMetsat had to go to that solution space when they had a transponder failure on Medius, gosh, years ago. So there's some similarities, but not entirely.
Hey, Joao, did you leave your hand raised, or is that a new question? Oh, it's Joel. Sorry, it's not Joao, it's Joel. Joel? Creo que Joel no está. No está. Ok. Daniel, adelante, Daniel.
Yes, good morning, everybody. Now, my question is related to what Bernie was talking about. So if we get the new GeoXO system, this will be level 1. So we will need the CSPP, or, you know, all the excuse me, the light goes out. Excuse me, can you hear me?
Yes.
Sí, te escuchamos.
Okay, yes, the problem is here the light goes out, so my device stopped it. But well, no, the question is if we will use the RA-III-IV from GeoXO, you will need all the change. So you need the from level 1 from level to level 2, and if you have a GeoNetcast, it's level 2. So this is important for the users, that for the devices they need to have to process the data. Essentially, will be very similar what they have right now with GOES-R. The unique difference is that they will not receive the data from the satellite itself, but they will receive the data from a commercial satellite. That's all. That's I'm thinking a little bit. The unique difference is it's that one, that they will receive the data from a commercial satellite instead of the satellite itself. Is this correct, or I'm wrong?
That is correct.
Ok, perfecto. Entonces voy a traducir un poco lo que acabo de preguntar, que digamos con la nueva configuración de GOES-XO, en realidad lo que nosotros tendríamos es una estación muy similar a la que tenemos ahora, para GOES-R. La única diferencia es que en vez de recibir los datos del satélite mismo, estaríamos recibiendo los datos de un satélite comercial, pero necesitaríamos exactamente la misma cadena de procesamiento que tenemos actualmente. A ver si esto volvió o no volvió la luz acá, sí que es medio complicado.
Te escuchamos, Daniel, adelante.
No, perfecto. Lo que pasa es que ahora se prendió el televisor principal nuevamente, el monitor principal, así que no. Entonces, digamos, la única diferencia sería esa, que tendríamos prácticamente el mismo equipo, lo único que estaríamos recibiendo los datos de otro satélite, en vez del satélite en sí mismo, de un satélite comercial. Lo cual me parece
yo
que
creo que, disculpa que te
simplifica
interrumpa,
mucho
yo
las
creo que sí hay
cosas.
unas cosas pequeñas que hay que conversar ahí, pero
Sí,
o
perfecto,
sea,
digamos, esto es en grandes rasgos, pero si esto fuera así, y por lo que dijo Pam es así, yo creo que es una gran cosa, porque, digamos, las modificaciones que tendríamos que hacer a los equipos actuales no serían tan importantes. No sé, Marcial, si tú tienes algo que agregar a esto.
sí, bueno, yo tengo ahorita mi set de preguntas, lo quiero dejar para el final porque quiero atender primero las de la comunidad.
Just a very quick comment here. Can you see my slide?
Yes.
So here we have the scheme for a GRB station. So you have the data acquisition workstation, which receives L1B data, and then users need to produce the L2s using a data processing workstation. So this is how the GRB's stations work. On GeoNetcast Americas, users receive the level 2s produced by NASDIS. So this is the difference between one and the other. And according to what we understand on GeoXO, we would have something similar to what GRB is now. Users would receive the level 1Bs, and then they would need to produce the level 2s on their own workstations. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Diego.
Ok, creo que teníamos una pregunta de Joel. Joel, ahora sí estás listo.
Yes, I have one question. Well, I think the bandwidth for level two information is not that hard to have at any institution. For example, we are currently using AWS to obtain our information. Most level 2 information is what we need for forecasting. Also, I have another question. Well, I have a question. Is there going to be any training, for example, to install GeoNetcast antennas? Because we have some issues installing the antenna here in Guatemala. We have changed authorities like 2 or 3 times in the last 5 years. So that kind of affects also having projects like this.
Hey, Joel, yeah, this is we are going to have some training on GeoNetcast in the future, and this is one of the actions proposed in the outcomes of the 5th meeting. So yes, in a summary, yes, we will have some training in the near future. Okay.
We have Kenneth here from the Caribbean. So Ken, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for the option here. I have 2 points I want to get some clarity on. The first is, does keeping the 3 options, internet, GeoNetcast, and GRB, exclude having a 4th option of a combination of GeoNetcast and GRB? And my second question or point that I need some clarity on is Paula would have said that if this is meeting our expectation, and I'm concerned, maybe I don't understand it, but I'm concerned with the changes and the impacts it would have on Caribbean member states who already have a GOES rebroadcast. Is it that they will, even if they are going to have to provide some investment to, apart from the antenna and the other factors that they can keep, will they be receiving similar kind of products, or is it going to be low rated products? I just need a clarity on that.
Pam, you're muted.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Sorry. On the first point, Nothing precludes a fourth service, but that would be another expense. You know, I think we'd want to, settle on, a set of services that it optimizes, the resources that we put in. When we design the GRB equivalent, we'll be seeking user input to see what folks want to put in that service, whether it's just the level 1 or it could be something else. But it seems like it wouldn't make sense, I think, for a fourth service, but it, if it could be done. On your second point, the data rate for the GeoXO instruments is going to be higher, factor of 4 or 5 times higher probably. The imager resolution, we're planning on increasing that, and we're also adding some channels to the imager. That's the big driver for the data rate increase, plus the new instruments. So for folks that want all of the GeoXO data, it's not practical for us to broadcast that. So so that would be available via internet cloud services. I'm not sure that was exactly the question.
You have answered some of it, but I really want to place in context what it will cost Caribbean National Meteorological Services to have access separate and apart from internet sites, to have access to operational satellite imagery, that they have independence of operation based on this new system.
Yeah, but our best guess was the estimates that we had there, about 20,000 for a high rate GRB data receiver, and less than 1,000, I think, for a low rate data receiver. Very rough numbers, obviously, at this point.
Marcel, just a quick comment regarding the second question from Kenneth regarding the impact in the Caribbean member states that already have GRBs. As Pam mentioned, they will be moving from L-band to C-band. So they are not be able to use the same feed or the modulator. So that would be something to invest. And they are probably going to be able to use the same antennas and the same workstations probably, right? But they will need to purchase new demodulators and feeds, right? And also another comment is that this cost estimate of $20,000 and $1,000 for the low rate services, this is for non-turnkey solutions, right? If we are going to turnkey, as it's happened to GeoNetcast Americas, it can go up to $50,000 to $60,000 per station. Okay, just a quick comment on his question. So thank you.
Yeah, I think it's worth mentioning, explicitly the next thing in English, because I already said it in the chat in Spanish. The GRB is going away as we know it, right? So it's good to have it as clear as possible. So GRB is not going to be an option because it's going away. It's not going to be on satellite. Entonces lo voy a volver a decir en español solo para que quede claro. El receptor directo, el GRB, por el cual se recibe hoy el nivel 1 de datos, no va a ser una opción. Va a desaparecer porque el satélite ni siquiera va a tener esa capacidad. Entonces no es si uno quiere o no quiere utilizarlo, es que no va a existir. So, Ale, go ahead.
Hi, Pam and everyone. I have a couple pieces of feedback to share from Canadian stakeholders, as well as a couple of questions coming up from today's deck. First, touching on an aspect that I don't think anyone's talked about yet today is two-way comms. I understand there's no plans to include that in GeoXO. Just sharing feedback from Canadian federal and provincial and territorial stakeholders, mixed thoughts on that. Some were excited to try to see two-way comms come in place but there are other options for that with Iridium and other polar orbiting solutions. Well, some of our users have very clearly said they don't want two-way comms in the future because of potential security risks. So I think on the whole, no strong feedback on that decision from Canada. For the DCS broadcast, I want to share that we're quite happy. We've provided some feedback previously directly to Skip and Lysianas in the DCS program through previous user engagements. We're quite happy to see the CONUS broadcast as the baseline, meaning that USGS EDDN could continue to serve as a potential alternate access point for DCS data should there ever be issues getting to NOAA's internet facilities. We are exploring the potential to implement DRGS stations in Canada for our National Hydrological Service, which relies heavily on the GOES DCS and expects to continue to do so in the GeoXO era. So we'd be interested in seeing if, when available, more details on the extent of the CONUS broadcast and whether or not portions of southern Canada would be feasible for it having DRGS stations in the GeoXO era. So I don't expect that MASC is available now, but as the plans evolve for that CONUS broadcast for DCS, we'd be interested in being kept aware of those plans. For the GRB rebroadcast, as others have said, whether it comes directly from a commercial satellite versus a NOAA satellite isn't the end of the world. From my role in spectrum management in Canada, I think it makes sense to have a bit more pull on our side if we're going through a fixed satellite service versus the meteorological satellite allocations, which we're having a constant battle with. Our one question on that front is, in the current GRB setup, we have a separate GRB downlink for east and west. In the GeoXO era with 3 satellites, would the data from all 3 satellites be going through a single FSS satellite? That appears to be the case from what's been shown on the slide today, but just want to get confirmation of that, because that would potentially mean having to have fewer ground stations to receive the high rate data transfer in the GeoXO era, recognizing the limitations of the FSS downlink not being able to push the full data rate of all 3 GeoXO satellites, but would appreciate clarity on that point.
Alec, yeah, that was our plan, that whatever the users prioritized from all 3 GeoXO satellites would be put into a single commercial broadcast.
Great, thanks, Pam. Okay, that maybe simplifies some ground segment stuff for us in the future. And I meant to say we do expect the cloud would be our primary access point in Canada, but we do want and plan to have redundancy through the commercial rebroadcast. So we would continue to plan to have a GRB equivalent, the high rate data feed satellite reception stations in Canada in the future. Then last piece of feedback I have regarding, Diego, your comments on GRB and the GNCA merger. I think others have alluded to this. I see them as somewhat different purposes between the level 1B data provision, the level 2 data provision, and also differences in the complexity, at least today, of the receive systems and the cost of those receive systems. I think those should remain separate services, is my gut instinct. And Matt, if you have other thoughts, feel free to chime in. And that's all that I had to share. Thanks.
Thank you, Alec.
Thanks, Alec. Just a comment. We can work as the SDR group in this prioritization of what should go in, what should be disseminated in the future, as we have done in the past. So we are going to have a limited bandwidth, right? 60 something megabits per second, and we could have data from east, west, and center. But as a group, we can work on this prioritization together, so we can provide this information to NOAA. What should be there if we have this limited bandwidth? What should be there considering these limitations, right? Thank you.
Yeah, that will definitely be an important discussion to have and to provide our hemispheric feedback to NOAA their consideration. I think that's definitely something we need to contribute to.
Yeah, I think Alec brought a very important point here, because it's not going to be 2 satellites anymore. It's going to be 3 satellites going into the commercial dissemination. And if there's going to be increases in resolution, whether it's spatial or time resolution, that's going to be a tight fit. Diego, again?
Yes.
Daniel.
See, yes, no, I completely agree with what the people is talking about. We need to think about this, but for the people in the region who has a GRB station, I agree with you, Marcial, that it will not work anymore, but we can get a lot of spare parts from our station to get the new satellites. So it's as Diego mentioned, we can change the feed, the modulator, and we can use exactly the same hardware we have with CSPP. So I believe that the real cost is over there. So, en español, digamos, concuerdo con lo que dijo Marcial, que la estación como está actualmente la GRB de GOES-R no va a servir más, pero podemos aprovechar muchas partes de esa estación para nuestra nueva estación de GeoXO. Entonces podemos utilizar prácticamente todo el hardware, digamos, la antena y los 2 workstations, y solo tendríamos que cambiar el demodulador y el feed. Entonces, para una cuestión, digamos, de calcular costos, ese es el verdadero costo que tendríamos que pensar. Pero, como también mencionó Marcial y Diego, tendremos que pensar muy bien qué vamos a poner en ese feed, porque tenemos una capacidad limitada, 62 megabits, y tenemos 3 satélites que tienen mayor resolución espacial y mayor resolución temporal. Entonces, la elección de qué nos gustaría tener en ese feed debe ser muy bien pensada. Gracias.
Nada más para complementar la pregunta de Daniel, ahí acuérdate lo que dijo Diego ahorita de los costos, ¿verdad? En los costos presentados es si las personas lo hacen sí mismos, o sea, sin contratar el servicio como un producto final. Si se contrata el producto final, los costos van a ser muy diferentes, van a ser mucho más altos. Okay, next we have Kathy. Kathy Ann. Kathy, are you there?
Oops.
Go ahead.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Thank you so much, and my apologies for being late to the discussion this morning. Just 2 really quick questions, maybe suggestions. I gather from the discussion that I heard that some of the images will be available on GeoNetcast. Is that correct? Eventually? Is that an option? Oh, am I wrong? Just really quickly.
I'm sure GeoXO data will be part of GeoNetcast. However, the GeoNetcast community decides, right?
Oh, of course. All right. So this was my suggestion that one of the things that we've done in the Caribbean is actually with the installation of GeoNetcast across many of the Caribbean regions, they will have some access, not complete, but they will have some access. And a suggestion would be that the countries per se beef up on their technical staff. The support staff can mean the difference between a price tag of 20,000 and 63,000 for a turnkey system. And that has long-ranging benefits to all the member states, because then they will have that continuous support. And I think this is where we have to go forward in the region, not only thinking about purchasing the equipment, but having the right personnel that could support these equipments going forward. So thank you very much.
Great comment, Kathy. And then it's Carol.
Hi, thanks. So just 2 little things here. I know that this is a 10-year projection, and the costs that we've had there perhaps would be the total cost of those systems, turnkey and the other one. But for locations or sites that have not yet implemented the systems, so instead of changing the feed and demodulator and getting the internet upgrade, do we have any advice for people who are in the process of procuring the GRB stations, one? And two, with regards to the legacy GOES data, I know that the broadcast service will be for specific locations. Is it that then they're going to be rebroadcast to other stations, and will that be a separate service?
Could you ask your second question again?
Yes. So with regards to the legacy GOES data, I think some of the documentation I saw said that the broadcast service will be only for specific locations. So I'm wondering if other sites would need to access, will that be a broadcast, and will that be like a commercial service?
For which data stream? The level
For
one?
the legacy data?
So for the DCS, there's HRIT, MWIN, and there's the GRB equivalent.
The GRB, yeah.
Yeah, so the GOES-R satellites will continue to broadcast GRB through the end of their life in 36 or so. Was that the question?
No. It said that service will only continue for specific locations. I'm not quite sure what those specific locations meant.
No, the GOES-R satellites will continue their GRB broadcast hemispherically for their lifetime, as long as they're the prime operating satellites.
Okay.
So
all right.
Yeah. We were talking for GeoXO limiting the DCS broadcast. Maybe that's what you saw. I'm not sure.
Okay, that's probably perhaps. Okay.
Okay. Sorry.
Okay, I see Kathy's hand still raised, but I'm not sure if Kathy has a follow-up question.
My apologies, Marcel. That's a legacy hand. I'll take it down. Thank you.
Great.
Legacy hand.
Joao?
Okay, well, I have a question about the sharing of the data. I think that Bernie made the same question, but for me it's not clear. The data that satellite will share is in level 1 or in level 2?
So for the GeoXO equivalent of GRB, that would be the commercial stream, we'll really be looking to the users for what they want to see. I think we were assuming it would be more like the current GRB content, but it can really be what the users want it to be.
Sorry, Michelle, si me ayudas un poco con la traducción.
Dime.
No, lo que pasa es que no lo entendí bien, porque me refería al sistema del GeoNetcast. Me refería al sistema del GeoNetcast porque en el Internet no hay problema si llega el 1, el 2, pero en el caso de la transmisión por este sistema similar al GeoNetcast, quería saber si va a ser en level 1 o en level 2, okay. Y si es en level 2, esto implicaría un mayor delay.
Ok, sí, lo que respondió Pam fue que hay que ver qué quieren los usuarios, qué necesitan y llegar a un acuerdo de qué es lo que van a requerir. Eso por lo general se hace una discusión, como dijo Diego, se hace una discusión acerca de lo que se necesita y en base a eso se llega a un acuerdo para ver quién necesita qué y si es posible enviarlo por ese canal.
Exacto,
Okay.
y el plan inicial sería tener algo semejante al GRB actual, ¿no? Los level 1. Pero si es un requerimiento de los usuarios tener los nivel 2, esto pueden analizarlo, ¿no? Y pueden ver la viabilidad de tener estos level 2 en GeoXO también.
Sí, ¿okay? Bueno, entiendo que hay información como el de los canales que convertirlo de level 1 a level 2 es aplicarle una ecuación, ¿no? Pero hay productos de level 2 mucho más complejos como agua precipitable y hidroestimador, incluso los datos del GLM. Esa era mi primera pregunta. La otra es, bueno, yo sé que es todavía muy temprano para hablar de esto, pero si en la opción del de compartir datos a través del Internet, se puede incluir una especie de recorte de las regiones, porque para la resolución que van a tener las imágenes, descargar un full disk va a ser todo un trámite, un requerimiento de Internet muy grande, ¿no? Tal vez esto va a ser un tema que lo van a tocar a futuro, pero si pudiera quedar desde ya una opción para que el usuario al momento de descargar el dato del Internet, porque entiendo que no va a poder acceder a todos los datos que el satélite te lo va a dar a través del sistema similar al GeoNetCast. Entonces van a priorizar canales. Por ejemplo, la encuesta que ustedes mostraron, se vio que el más utilizado es el canal visible, el canal 13 y otros datos más. Entonces, en función a eso, supongo que van a compartir por el sistema de GeoNetCast algunos canales. Entonces, los otros vamos a tener que descargarlos por Internet. Entonces, se puede incluir desde ya una opción para que esta descarga incluya un recorte al momento de hacerlo, va a facilitar mucho nuestra descarga de los datos complementarios. Sí, Marcial, disculpa.
No, nada más voy a traducir tu pregunta en inglés.
Sorry.
So Pam and others, this is a question, and this is actually relevant for me because we suffer with this often. So Joao is asking if you have considered in the distribution of the data, slicing just parts of or sectoring the images. Because, for example, Costa Rica is super tiny, and we usually have to download the full disk to just get this a few bits out of the image. So how do you see that moving forward, and if it's going to be considered for GeoXO?
I think that's one of the benefits of the internet delivery. You can pick exactly what you want, what channels, what location. But if you're talking in terms of the RF broadcast, I don't know enough about how to do that to know if that's feasible, frankly. Maybe somebody else has a better answer. But I think you'd be talking about, different antennas with sending different geographic information to different geographic locations. We hadn't really considered that, if that's what the question was. I don't know how hard that would be.
Just an additional comment, Marcial. When we apply surveys and when we get feedback from the community, internet capabilities is always something important to consider, right? And this is a reality for regions 3 and 4. And as we have seen last week, it is a reality for other regions too. Some users do not have the sufficient internet capabilities. So the question from João is, he's suggesting that for the future dissemination systems that will be based on the internet, that the capability of subsecting the data before the download, so they can spare some internet bandwidth, or so that the users are able to download less data. This is very important to consider for the future capabilities of dissemination. Okay.
Thanks for clarifying it. That's definitely possible with the internet.
Great.
Thanks, Diego. Thanks.
I think it'll be one of the main advantages, actually, of internet, is people can get exactly what they want.
And another comment is that João commented is that, converting from the bands from level 1B to level 2, it's not that hard. However, when it comes to derived products, that is hard. You need all those algorithms, etc. So when we commented that, in the future, this group will be working on prioritizing, and letting NOAA know what are the suggestions in terms of which level 1s, which level 2s that should be included in the future system. So thank you.
Yeah, I think we should move on to the next question because I have a few myself, and the next one is from Carol. Go ahead.
Yeah, just to let you know, I fully support accessing subsets of the data rather than just always the full disk. Also, I had asked previously a question, what advice do you guys have for us workers? We're trying to procure a GRB station, and instead of changing the feeds and trying to cut cost, is there anything we can do to, instead of changing, to get it into the process to start with?
That's a good question. I don't have an answer.
I believe that the most obvious aspect would be procuring an antenna of 4.8 meters of diameter, even if it is not necessary now. So that is one advice.
Yeah, that's definitely important.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Diego. But didn't we say that we didn't have to change the antenna?
It depends. It will all depend on the future commercial satellite that will be used to rebroadcast the GeoXO data. So to guarantee that users will be able to get this data, procure a 4.8 meter antenna or higher.
Okay, thanks.
That's the easier, suggestion, right, Marcial? And apart from that,
yep.
Powerful data acquisition and processing workstations.
Yeah, but this is 10 years to the future. I'm pretty sure we're going to see some changes in the technology. I think the next is Kenneth.
Yes, thanks. The most recent discussion kind of aligned to what I wanted to intervene on, and really to bring to bear the question that Pam would have asked in terms of providing feedback and understanding the impacts that the proposals will have on Caribbean nations' national meteorological services. And Carol just sort of brought to the fore some of the challenges, and I'm concerned that we can market or take the Caribbean National Meteorological Services out of the loop. We are some of the most vulnerable countries in the globe and need access to data. And whilst the internet is a viable option, the independence of operation by these national meteorological services, especially given the fact that year on year we are challenged by hurricanes and the internet can go down, but we need to continue serving our constituents. So my concern is, how do we ensure that we have a system that the region can really get access to in a way that it doesn't place them at a significant disadvantage? And I'm saying that in the context, we now have some countries now looking to procure 5 years after the cycle of start, these goes 16 GRBs and GeoNetcast in the same go. And it's clearly, it's because of a cost factor. So I am concerned that the new system will also exacerbate conditions, given that you have just spent, and Marcel, 10 years may seem long to you, but 5 years has already gone for Caribbean countries, and we are now having access to these systems. So the concern that I have is, after procuring those systems, having to wait 4 to 5 years to procure them, and within 6 years, you now have to have new systems, and you have to go back to make a justification. How I am trying to find or to place on record so that Pam could understand the nuance that we face and what can be done to ensure, separate and apart from the internet. I understand the internet, but we need to have independence so that we can operate efficiency. So if I could just have that recorded, that we are very concerned that this new system, without having or giving us the option to really use the systems that already exist, because as it is, some may already have 3.7 and 4.7 size antennas, and we've been told that perhaps we need to get at 4.8. So you see the concern that we have here. We are very much concerned with respect to this, and I want to place that on record.
Yeah, Kenneth, I just wanted to clarify that I said 10 years is a long time for technology, and computer power and processing is going to change a lot in 10 years. I know 10 years is not enough to get everyone ready hardware-wise and also training-wise.
Yeah, thanks, Kenneth, for making that point. I appreciate that.
Yeah, the next comment is from Bernie.
Okay, I also put some written comments in the chat box. And commenting further on what Joao says and others have said in terms of being able to get just a sector of data. JMA, for example, with the Himawari data, they provide it in strips. And so if I need a case study, I can just go grab certain strips. I don't need to grab the full disk. So, and that's one thing that I miss about even the class right now. You have to download the full disk. Whereas before, with the previous goes, you were able to sectorize it. They set up the software to do that, and currently you can't do that. So even if I'm looking for a case, you have to grab the full disk rather than have the tools available to grab a sector of it. So that's something to consider. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that's where Unidata's help can contribute quite a bit first. Thank you, Bernie. Gabi?
Yeah, more on that idea of sectors. It might be wiser to have sectors that make sense from the meteorological point of view. Let's say for us, it's great to have CONUS, to be included in CONUS, but if you want to see the tropical phenomena that it's further south, you have to go to full disk, and to have something in the middle, perhaps, that includes areas for Central America and Mexico, for instance, that makes sense from the meteorological point of view. So it's something that we need to start thinking about. What sectors might be good to have in any system, in GeoNetCast or whatever, because it will be easier to have the images and not having to stitch together other information or have to download the full disk information. So it makes sense. And I have another question. And internet, it's going to be a private provider, commercial provider. So it comes with a cost, and the cost is going to be on NOAA. So I mean, I can connect internet and get the data without having to have a special agreement with the commercial service. So there's no cost.
We will arrange for and pay for the data distribution costs. I'm not sure. We haven't really designed what that storefront looks like, if you will. But we would not be putting.
Okay. Do you have anything else to say, Pam?
Nope.
Okay. So I have a few comments of myself, and I don't see any more hands up, so I'm gonna.
There is a comment from Argentina.
Okay.
Diana sent some questions on via email, and it's mainly related to C-band interference due to 5G. And that is also something to consider. We will be moving from L-band to C-band in the future. So these possible interferences on the downlink is something important to consider to prevent data loss. And just a quick comment on my side, they have activated 5G Rio de Janeiro a couple of weeks ago. And one of the GeoNetCast users immediately lost his connection due to interference. So he's now trying to purchase a filter and getting some devices from vendors. So this is also something very important to consider in the future, possible interferences related to 5G or 6G in 10 years, we never know. So I wonder if Jordan is part of the expert team on radio frequency interference. I wonder if he has any comments on that. RA-III stuff. Jordan, could you please make some comments? Are you there? I wonder if he's there. Oh, he's not there. He's not in the meeting anymore. So, but
He
yes,
dropped
that's
out at some
definitely.
point.
So that's definitely something to consider in the future. Possible sources of interference for the future C-band downlink. Casey has a comment.
Yeah, maybe in Jordan's absence, I'm the Canadian member to the WMO's expert team on radio frequency communication, radio frequency coordination. There is no vacant spectrum anymore. There will always be spectrum risks regardless of where we are. I think it's something the meteorological community as a whole needs to become more active in, and we need to find a way to dedicate some more resources to. But this is not a problem that's going away from my perspective. I'll leave to those from NOAA if they have anyone willing to speak to it, but there have been quite a few proceedings in the US through the Federal Communications Commission on proposals for 5G and other stakeholders to access the spectrum immediately adjacent to, both below and above the GOES spectrum, including right up to 1680 megahertz. I think there is, if we're through a commercial rebroadcast at a very high level, I would say that puts us in a marketplace that has a lot of resources that are dedicated to spectrum management and could pose significantly less risk to our future services than being in meteorological satellite spectrum, particularly at the L-band spectrum. I don't want to speak for NOAA on this. They may have other views, but as someone involved in spectrum management on the Canadian side, I think that regardless of where we go, there's a lot of demand and exponentially growing demand for access to spectrum, just like we do. We're looking to go from, I forget what GRB is, 32 megabits per second to, almost doubling that for the GeoXO rebroadcast, potentially tripling that. All other industries are trying to do that too, and there simply is no empty, unused spectrum at this point in time. So this is a risk we will need to manage regardless of what frequency band we're using.
Thanks, Ali. Okay, I have a few comments. So quickly, I would like to ask NOAA and everyone involved with this on the US part to consider how high the costs have been for the region. There have been lots of investments in the region for the GRBs and others. So just keep this in mind because if there's transitions, there's going to be associated costs and others. So of course, keep that in mind. Second, for the members, the English speaking members, I will say this in Spanish in a second. Please plan ahead. This is 10 years in the future. So we need better and more reliable internet in the crucial places like med services, universities, research stations, research centers. So plan ahead. And also for NOAA, the bandwidth and the latency of these commercial services is very important. If we're going to have med services feeding data to their forecasters, the latency is going to be important. And we have seen that the GRB latency is pretty low, as low as some other internet services like the IDD in the US. Not as the PAA, because that tends to be higher, similar to the GeoNetcast, which has a higher latency. So if we're going to use a commercial relay service for the data to med services, the latency is going to be crucial. So we need to make sure that it's as low as possible for the crucial services. And this is something just to keep in mind. I'm just going to repeat those three in Spanish so we can just get it out of the way before the other two questions. Entonces, los costos son muy grandes y le estoy pidiendo a NOAA que los mantenga en sus mentes a la hora de procesar esto. Para los miembros que están hablando español en esta reunión, vean, por favor, planeemos con tiempo. Tenemos 10 años de tiempo antes de que estos cambios se den. Entonces, ocupamos tener más y mejor y más confiable el Internet, el servicio de Internet para nuestros países. Entonces, planeémoslo desde ahora, que no nos tome por sorpresa el día que tengamos que mover datos por Internet. Y principalmente esto se relaciona al siguiente punto. que es con respecto al ancho de banda y la latencia. La latencia va a ser importantísima porque vamos a tener servicios meteorológicos alimentándose de esta información. Entonces, le pedí a NOAA también que lo consideren para que sea lo más bajo posible, porque si un pronosticador va a ocupar estos datos y van a ir por un servicio comercial, vamos a necesitar que sean lo más pronto posible, apenas estén disponibles. So going back to English, 2 questions to NOAA, and this is, you mentioned the new 3 instruments, but you didn't mention coverage and time resolution of the products, and space weather instruments were also missing from the discussion. So what do you have to say on those?
Yeah, so space weather instruments will not be on GeoXO. Nestis has a separate space weather program that it will be developing equivalent capabilities and fly on different satellites. So unfortunately, you'll have to have a conversation with them as well about the space weather data delivery. In terms of the new GeoXO instruments, let's see. So the imager will have full disk coverage like today. We are planning on adding 2 channels, and the main upgrade I think that we're looking for is the Viz channel. The 0.64 will be improving the resolution to 1/4 kilometer. So that's a big driver for that. The lightning mapper, same as today, nearly hemispherical coverage. Our specification doesn't change the spatial resolution, so still 8 kilometer. We might get better than that, but the specification is set at 8 kilometer. The sounder is going to be almost hemispheric coverage, and planning that hemispherical coverage once per hour. And then the sounder is also going to have mesoscale capability as well. The sounder spatial resolution is 4 kilometers at nadir. The ocean color instrument has the ability to scan anywhere, but the scan pattern is almost certainly going to be over the coastal areas where the U.S. fisheries are. And that's going to have 300-meter resolution, again, mostly around the coasts and Caribbean. And then the atmospheric composition instrument, the scan is going to be mostly a CONUS scan, southern Canada, northern Mexico, Caribbean regions included in that, but that'll be an hourly scan, and that's 5 kilometer at nadir instrument. And I do have some charts that document all these plans. I'd be happy to share those as well.
Oh, that'd be great. So we can distribute it. We can translate it and distribute it to the members. Yeah, that'd be great. So I have 2 immediate replies, can I? Quickly. So these, you said the ocean color has the capability of scanning other regions, right? So could we have something like the mesoscale sectors scanning special areas of interest?
The capability will be there. We'll have some discussions, I think, about scan pattern and how often. I will say our customers in NOAA have been very clear that we're planning them or promising to have 3-hour repeat of the EEZ is what they, the exclusive economic zone is where the scans will be located. So for that 3-hour repeat, they really wish that those were scanned more often. So there'll be a tension, I think, between scanning the EEZ zones as much as possible versus moving it elsewhere to scan other things. So, but the capability is there.
Excellent.
Okay, so the atmospheric composition, there is no chance of scanning other areas.
I think it's we're doing a study about the scan capability, but the instrument specs are really based on the NASA Tempo instrument, which is really restricted to the CONUS and just a little bit wider CONUS location. Sorry.
Okay. Thank you.
Oh, okay, thank you very much. I just would like to comment that this meeting is being recorded and we will have the minutes of the meeting available soon. So everyone will be able to check all this information again. We had, 20 questions and comments from the community, a lot of information, and this will be, the recording will be available and the minutes of the meeting will be also available for everyone to check.
Diego, Nat? Yep.
First of all, we're out of time, but I wanted to thank Pam for her time and providing all those clarifications. However, I know people are already jumping off this call, and I want to make sure we identify the ways forward. And because, like I said, I want to be respectful of everybody's time. It's already been an hour and a half. So let's wrap up and see what we can do next. Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much. We had a great feedback today, a nice discussion. Lots of, I believe that the aspects that needed to be clarified, it was clarified, and we have lots of information to proceed. And as the SDR group, we will work on this prioritization of the data sets in the future. And so we would like to thank NOAA for all your contribution. NOAA has always been a key contributor in the region, facilitating these interactions among members. So we really appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I'm not sure if Diego, should we maybe thank NOAA, and if they need to leave, maybe we can, if they need to leave. Thank you for your time. Maybe we can use a couple more minutes just to talk about this with the members and some others.
Okay, so great, thanks. I really appreciate the feedback, and thanks Diego, Marcial for hosting, and Nat for organizing.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Marcial, should we cover the other topics in the next teleconference? So maybe it's a good suggestion.
It's been over the time, so let's move the topics to the next one.
Yes, let's cover the other topics in the next call. We have plenty of material to share and many actions to discuss. So we already have a great material for the next teleconference. So I just would like to thank everyone for your participation and for your collaboration in this call. Thank you very much. Muchas gracias a todos por vuestra colaboración. Tuvimos 20 cuestiones y sugerencias de los miembros y muchas gracias por vuestra colaboración e interacción en esta teleconferencia. Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias por sus preguntas. Vamos a estar enviando un resumen y también algunos de los comentarios que nos dio Pam al final los voy a resumir para poder enviarlos. Muchas gracias. Bueno, hasta luego.
Muchas
gracias por su presencia hoy.
Hasta luego.
Muchas
gracias.
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 Hasta luego.
Gracias.
Nos vemos
Adiós,
pronto.
bye, bye.
Feliz día
Chao.
para todos.
Hasta luego.
Igualmente,
Día.
nos hablamos.
Chao.